That's right. Now coming through loud and clear on the 100,000 watts, 95.7 FM. Welcome in on a Monday morning. It's always great to welcome on and say hello to our friend and Ramsey personality, two-time best-selling author, host of the Ken Coleman Show, Ken Coleman joining us. Hey, Ken, good morning. Great to have you on, my friend.
Well, it's good to be with you, and now I feel very important, 100,000 watts. I got to call my mom as soon as this is over and tell her how loud I actually was today.
You are even louder on the FM band here in Kansas City, my friend.
Oh, my gosh.
This is sounding
unbelievable.
Hey, there's a lot happening, Ken. I want to get to as much as we can here in the next 10 minutes with you, but just start off just on the economic news front. I know you saw your good friend, as you call him, feckless Jerome Powell, held a press conference where he said basically inflation is still stubbornly high and there's no real end in sight. So what does that mean for Main Street as they hear Jerome Powell give this speech to a bunch of really important people last week?
Well, it means two things. On a very minor level, it means that I was right. You know, I've been telling you and your audience this, that I don't think it's going anywhere for some time. I've talked about it on social media because I'm just reading the tea leaves. And so that's a minor thing because I'm never right, Pete. I've been married 25 years, so it's very rare that I could say I've been right. But I would also say that what it also means is some pain in the future. There's just no question that this will not continue. And what I mean by this is this rare economic environment where we've got higher inflation, but a very good jobs economy, and we're not in a recession. Where this is probably headed is what's called stagflation, something that we all learned about, probably got wrong on a multiple choice test in the 6th grade. And that's where inflation is high and the economy begins to recede. And so that's where we are. What they're hoping for and what the Fed has been hoping for with all this gradual increase in interest rates is to have a soft landing, meaning not stagflation, where we see inflation come down and maybe a small recession. But when inflation stays high and a recession hits, that's when there's going to be a lot of pain. And I think that's probably very realistic now. You just look at big indicators like the Treasury bonds, the U.S. Treasury bonds. Without getting into that, we'll make people drive into the embankments in Kansas City. It's so boring. But that's what the American people need to be paying attention to, and that's what's keeping interest rates high, and that also affects mortgage rates. And so there's going to be a lot of pain. Unfortunately, I think this is where this is headed. The job economy cannot stay this low this long. If we see companies start to fear recession, they will start to do big cuts. If we go into recession, it will affect a lot of industries and, unfortunately, job cuts. And now you've got a higher unemployment rate, and you take care of inflation that way because you decrease demand. That's the shortest version I can give you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly what it seems like Jerome Powell is trying to do because he can't he can't promote supply-side policies. I mean, that's not his role. All he can do is decrease demand. So what does that mean then for the job outlook in 24? Because the jobs reports keep coming in hotter than expected, which has everyone confused. So what does that mean for next year?
Well, none of us really know. I mean, it's kind of like trying to predict when a storm is going to come in. But what it could mean, if we really do move into a recession with inflation high, then you're going to see a lot of job cuts, and you'll see the unemployment rate jump up. Who knows? There's no way to guess and predict what that will look like as far as an exact number. But companies will have to cut. Companies will have to cut costs, and they cut costs on the balance sheet with cutting people. So now all of a sudden, people are out of a job, and this job gap that we've had for several years, and we're still there, over 11 million jobs available, 8 million people unemployed. Now all of a sudden that number begins to shrink, Pete, and as it gets harder and harder to find a job, obviously people can't spend as much, and so consumer demand drops. But right now, consumer confidence, Pete, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. The consumer price index and all that, you look at consumerism, it's high, and yet all the polls come back and say, yes, we're worried about the economy. So I don't know if people just think the world is coming to an end and they're just going to spin their way into Armageddon or what. But at some point, the American people have also got to go, we should probably curtail our spending.
Well, that's the amazing thing. Ramsey personality Ken Coleman is on KCMO, host of the Ken Coleman Show. That's the amazing thing. Like, poll after poll after poll shows that the people don't like the economy, but they can't stop their addiction to spending on, frankly, nonsense, like you said, consumer goods.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So at some point, the American people are going to have to make changes. I wish they would collectively do it now. And here's the deal. And this would be really fun to get some egghead economist on, Pete, on your show and just throw this idea at him, all right? You know, if the American people went on a 90-day spending freeze, or I'm just making this up, so you only bought the essentials. I mean, you just went down to nothing, okay? And you bought 3 months worth of stuff, and then for 3 months you didn't spend. And you just saved money and you battened down the hatches, if you will. Then you would see prices begin to drop, because the way capitalism works in all of its glory, and it's the greatest economic system in the world, is that when demand slows, then companies go, oh, we got to drop prices. If you want to see inflation come down, you don't sit there and wait for Jerome Powell to try to do it. He screwed it all up. He created the environment that we're in with so much liquidity and cash in the marketplace and government payments to people during the pandemic. And people spend money when you give them money. And so what we've got to do is realize the great power of the American people to withhold purchasing, and you would see prices drop. Your combo meals, everything in the grocery store, your dry cleaning services. See, everything's going up because everybody's like, all right, or I guess we're spending now. And so that's what's crazy about all this. And unfortunately, I don't think we, the people, will get the message. I think it'll be pain that will then force us to stop spending.
Hey, Ken, before I let you go, you did this on your show last week, and people can find it wherever they get their podcast, The Ken Coleman Show. And you had an episode here on the work-life balance being a total myth. As people are getting up on a Monday morning and they're claiming they don't have a good work-life balance, and some of them hate their jobs, I want them to go listen to that episode. But if you could give us the Cliff Notes version of it, why is the work-life balance a total myth?
Well, it's a myth because if you have to work, meaning you're not independently wealthy, you're going to spend more time at work than you do anything else. It's just the reality. So you're already out of balance. So the issue is not balance. The issue is rhythms. The rhythm of life. You've got your rhythm of work, whatever that schedule looks like during the week, during the month. And then you have your rhythm of relationships, of course, rhythm of exercise, hopefully rhythm of hanging out with good people and friends, rhythm of hobbies, whatever that is. And so the idea is balance. If you're trying to achieve balance, you'll forever be frustrated. But if you begin to say, what does a healthy rhythm of my life look like? I want to be in a job where I'm doing work that I'm good at, that I love, where I'm valued. And then I want to have really good friends, people of like values who care deeply for me and we care for them. And I want a deep relationship in my marriage and with my kids. And what is that life you want? And then you create rhythms. And so your priorities are based around the rhythms that matter to you. You'll never be in balance, but you can be healthy. And so we're looking for health, not balance.
That is great. I love that on so many levels, because you're never going to perfectly achieve it. Ken Coleman, check out his show, The Ken Coleman Show. Ramsey personality, of course, that show's on 3 to 5 every day here on KCMO. And you are the man, Ken. We appreciate you. And, boy, you sound damn good on 100,000-watt FM stick here at 95.7.
I'm telling you, I'm going to call Mom and Dad as soon as I hang up. And, hey, from 3 to 5 today, I'm on with Dave Ramsey, so we're going to bring the Thunder today. So check back in at 3. I'll be on with the big guy.
Don't tell anybody, Ken. That's my favorite combo you guys have there on the show. So we'll talk to you soon.
Right,
I'll
try to bring the heat, man.
Good deal. I love it. He is Ken Coleman. Great to have him on KCMO Talk Radio. He'll be on the station 3 to 5 today with Dave Ramsey. Do not miss it.